and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how I make my 2-in-1 whipped shea butter for use when dyeing your hair with henna, to moisturise and protect your skin, and also to use as an all-over body butter. It's deeply moisturising and contains a stack of butters and oils. And stay tuned to find out how this little implement is an essential part of the process. Before I continue, thank you to my current and my new subscribers. Hello, this is Love Those Locks, the channel where I help you care for your hair, especially for the lady of a certain age. So here we are with all of the ingredients and the equipment we need to make our 2-in-1 body butter and hairline butter for when we're applying henna. So let's start with the equipment. First of all, we'll need a hand blender with 2 whisks, which will help to whip up the butter into a nice fluffy consistency. We'll then need a single whisk or something to stir the mixture, and a spatula to scrape out the mixture. More equipment we'll need will be a double boiler. Now if you look at this, these are 2 pots that fit one inside the other. So you put the water at the bottom of this one, bring it to the boil, and then you put the other bowl on top. But you can do it with a normal pot and container if you don't have a double boiler. Other equipment will be measuring spoons, some measuring cups, and then some containers to put your body butter in. I use these containers because I go through my body butter fairly quickly. But if you're giving it away or storing it for longer, a mason jar is perfect because it is airtight. So that's the equipment. Let's move on to the ingredients. So first of all, here we have shea butter, and here you can see some shea butter. Shea butter is great as a moisturiser. It's a remedy for dry skin. My daughter uses it a lot for her eczema and it's very effective. And shea butter also softens the skin and strengthens the skin. The next butter we'll be using will be cacao butter. So you can see the container here. I've got the cacao butter that appears as these sort of little nuggets, if you like. It's another hard butter like shea butter, and it's just handier in this sort of format. It's a pure version of cocoa butter, and it helps to improve the elasticity and the collagen production of our skin, which all helps to make us look younger. And it's also nourishing and it's hydrating. I'm going to move on to one of the oils, coconut oil, which, as you know, coconut oil stored at room temperature, if it's not too hot, is solid, but if it gets hot, then it's liquid. So coconut oil will go into this recipe. It helps to improve the elasticity of the skin, and it helps to slow down the aging process. It also hydrates the skin, and it's a powerful moisturiser. So that's the coconut oil. The next butter we're going to use is Kapuasu butter. So that's the name there. I'll just open it up so that you can see it. Now, Kapuasu butter is a vegan alternative to lanolin. It improves the moisture levels of the skin and it improves elasticity. It contains a lot of fatty acids and it protects and moisturises. The other butter we're going to use is kokum butter. So I'll just open that up so you can have a look. That's the kokum butter. Kokum butter is a very good moisturiser, and it's especially effective for sensitive skin. It's very dense in nutrients, and it helps to sustain healthy skin. It's also soothing, and it's good for skin inflammations. So those are all of the butters, and there will be a couple more oils that we'll use. One of them will be sweet almond oil. If you can possibly get hold of cold pressed sweet almond oil, that would be perfect, because cold pressed oil is extracted without using any chemicals, so it's better for us. But if you can't work with what you have, sweet almond oil is rich in nutrients, it has moisturising qualities, and it's easily absorbed into the skin, so it will be great in this mixture. The final ingredient, which is also an oil, is vitamin E oil. Vitamin E oil has many skin moisturising properties. It prevents and minimises the appearance of scars, and it's also great for fine lines and wrinkles. I also make use of vitamin E oil in all of my oil blends because it can help, due to its antioxidant properties, to preserve the oil by making sure that there is no oxygen present, which can destroy the oil and make it rancid. So that is the final oil. So I'll go through them again, but I'll mention the quantities. So the shea butter, we'll need half a cup of that. The cacao butter, we will need a quarter of a cup. Coconut oil, a quarter of a cup. Capuasu butter, a quarter of a cup. Kokum butter, quarter of a cup. And then when we come to the sweet almond oil, 5 tablespoons, and when we come to vitamin E oil, 1 tablespoon of that. I've also got here some lavender essential oil, which we'll add later to the mixture, which will give it some scent. It also has soothing qualities, so that's great to add in, although it must be said that cacao butter has a very strong smell, very chocolatey smell. The other thing I wanted to mention, with all of these butters, you can mix and match, and feel free to add in or remove whichever ones you feel would work best for you. And if you haven't used any of these oils before, do try them, do a quick patch test on your skin, leave it for 24 hours before you go on to use it in your mixture, just to be on the safe side. So these are all of the ingredients and the equipment. Okay, so here I am about to add the butters to the double boiler. So here we have the shea butter, that's half a cup. Here I've got half a cup of the kokum butter and the capuasu butter. So that's both of those butters together. Just scrape those out. Add those to the double boiler. Make sure we get all of those in. And then onto the cacao butter, and that's a quarter of a cup. So in here we have half a cup of shea butter and a quarter of a cup each of kokum butter, capuasu butter and cacao butter. And I'm going to add these to the boiling water boiler. So here we have the bottom of the double boiler, which is boiling. I'm going to switch that off, and I'm now going to add the top of the double boiler to it and sit it there until these butters melt. So it'll take a little while, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. And as you can see, the oil is starting to melt already. If you have a little look around the edges, you can see that it's starting to melt. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. You can see in there. Keep my fingers away so I don't burn myself. In there. Already melting. So here you can see all of the oils have melted in nicely, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it a few minutes just to cool down a little bit before I add the coconut oil, the sweet almond oil and the vitamin E oil. So I don't want to add those while it's still boiling hot. So now the oil has cooled down a bit, so I'm going to just add the other oils to the mixture, just to make sure that they mix in nicely. Hopefully the oil isn't too cool. So adding that in. So that was a quarter of a cup of coconut oil, and I'm now going to add in the sweet almond oil. So 5 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the sweet almond oil, and 1 tablespoon of vitamin E oil. So I'm just adding that to the mixture. and I'll just give it a little stir. As you can see, the oil is still hot, and I've just added those in, giving it a bit of a stir, and then I'm going to leave that to start to set. So here we are with the solidified mixture of butters and oils. Leave yours in the fridge for 1 to 2 hours. I left mine in the fridge overnight because I wanted to continue filming during daylight hours, and so as you can see, it is rather solid, so I'm having a bit of a job here chopping it up, but it is advisable to cut it up as much as possible to make the whisking side of things easier. So I'm going to battle with the butter here, as you'll see. Now, just to recap while waiting, I like to prepare the 2-in-1 in small batches, only because I find a little goes a long way. So do feel free to double the quantities if you prefer to prepare larger batches. So here I am preparing to whisk. The chunks have already been prepared and I'm ready, and here is my little implement that I showed you earlier on in this video, specially prepared for the task ahead. And what this piece of card will do is prevent the mixture from flying everywhere. I have had experience of this going all over the kitchen walls, all over me, all over the whisk, the cooker, everything. But this will effectively stop that from happening, so it's great. I haven't given you a set time for whisking, only because it depends on how much of a mixture you have, how hard your mixture is, the speed of your whisk, and how effective you are at holding the whisk at the right position. So if you hold it with the whisk pointing straight down into your bowl, then that's the most effective method for getting it whipped into the light fluffy mixture sooner rather than later, I have found. So just whisk away until you get that consistency, and in between whisks just take your card away if you're using the card approach, and use a spatula to scoop the mixture from the sides of the bowl. So here we are at the very end of the process, and as you can see, it's lovely, beautifully light and fluffy and dreamy and edible looking, but don't eat it. And this mixture has a deeply chocolatey smell, and it's ready for use. And I'm actually going to try a bit right now. Here we are. And as you can see, it's already starting to melt into my arm, and there we go. My skin has lapped all of it up. Beautiful, smooth, glorious. It's great. So this is ready to be scooped into my clean container that I prepared earlier. Now you've got a couple of options here. You can start by scooping it off the whisk, as I'm doing, because I want to use every last drop of it. But you can put it into a piping bag if you desire, or you can just get in there with a spatula, as I'm doing, and scoop it out. I don't need to present it in a particular way because it's just for use at home by the family, and we don't mind as long as it works, and it works doing it this way. It's quicker and easier. So just scoop it in, and as you can see as I'm scooping it, how light and fluffy it is. Scoop until full, scrape in. You may need to give the jar a little tap just to help it to settle down into the nooks and crannies of your jar, and it's ready. There it is, my 2-in-1 butter, which you can use around your hairline to protect it when using henna, and all over your body. Wonderful. That's it for today's video. Now over to you. If you've tried the recipe, please let me know how you get on. I'd love to hear. And if you've enjoyed today's video, please like, share and subscribe, and remember to hit the notifications bell if you like to ensure that you don't miss out when I post my next weekly video. Bye. Oh God, how hard can this be? How I make my 2-in-1 whipped shea butter for use when dyeing your hair. Stop. My 2-in-1 whipped shea butter recipe for use when dyeing your hair. Hello and welcome to the video, to the channel and the video.
Yeah.
Where's my card gone?